welcome back. Everyone loves a good revival story, but will we really see one with Jet Airways? That's the question on everyone's mind since this weekend when Kalrock Capital and Murari Lal Jalan, their consortium, was chosen finally and their bid accepted by the Committee of Creditors, that is the consortium of banks and other operational creditors for the beleaguered Jet Airways. Now, Jet Airways pretty much shut shop since the last 18 months, and multiple efforts have been made to find a buyer who would be able to pay off everyone who needed to be paid off, as well as get the airline up on its feet. The details of exactly how this consortium plans to do this are still not completely out in the open because there are more steps to be taken, including a nod from the NCLT, then the Ministry of Civil Aviation has to come in. Jet Airways has to get back all of its routes and its other sort of code sharing, etc., that it had earlier for it to be viable for the new buyer. But someone who can give us a very good idea of how feasible this is Mr. Rajesh Prasad. He's the Chief Strategy Officer of Jet Airways and a witness to all of the turbulence that this resolution effort has seen in the last 18 months or so. Ajay, Awtaney, founder of livefromalounge.com, who knows aviation inside out, is also on the show today. So welcome to both of you. Mr. Prasad, let me begin by getting your take on when do you think Jet will fly? That's how I've started this discussion. Will Jet Airways take to the skies again, or are we too early in the entire process to really see what happens next?
Well, thanks Tamanna for giving me this platform also to articulate my views and my take on it. But before I start, let me just rewind and mention a few things, because I am virtually delighted to be in the show talking about the possible revival and Jet taking to the skies, because I am representing not only the goodwill and best wishes of all the employees and the other stakeholders as well. So with that brief backdrop, to answer your question, I am fairly confident that Jet will refly. And why am I saying this so? Because the Jalan Kalrock plan, it takes care of the interest of virtually every stakeholder. If you take the first and foremost the financial creditors, in the current situation where the funding and exposure of any aviation sector is not backed always by tangible assets, because you know that leasing companies, they are all based on cash flows and all. So I think that the consortium led by the State Bank of India, they have seen merit in the plan submitted by Kalrock Jalan consortium, and they have stood by the belief that resolution is possible. Otherwise, I don't think so. With such emphatic affirmative vote, the resolution would have gone. So it is truly in the spirit of IBC process. So one is grateful and thankful.
How much money is going to be put in from this by this consortium?
Well, I think
how much money is going to be put in by this consortium? Because what the RP has accepted in terms of claims runs over 15,000 crore rupees. The figure I have seen in the last couple of days is 1,000 crore rupees that this consortium is going to bring in. So how is this going to work out?
No, it will work out because under the IBC norms, there are provisions that there would need to be haircuts taken by the financial creditors. But to compensate that, apart from the upfront payment that the consortium is proposing to pay, upfront commitment, there are also a long-term relationship that they have kept in mind. So they have offered 9.5% equity also to the stakeholder. You also may be aware that JPPL, the frequent flyer program, that is a very valuable thing because it has almost 1 million members, loyal members. So they are giving equity stake of 7.5% to the lenders also. And the subsidiary, which is that Jet-led, that the Jalan consortium, they don't want it. So that is also being offered for whatever it is worth. So if you take the package, which would be a mix of the upfront payments that they would get and the long-term stay and advantage of the upside that will come in, it becomes attractive for them. Now, the next big stakeholder, and that is one reason why they have voted for resolution rather than liquidation. That would have been very easy, but they had seen that the brand has tremendous value and goodwill, and that is perhaps the reason, in the true spirit of bankruptcy laws, they have voted for the resolution. This is one big stakeholder. The second set of stakeholder definitely would be the employees. And for the employees also, this consortium is offered a fairly good deal. I mean, in terms of whatever the waterfall mechanism they are supposed to get. And also, they are trying to bring in everybody to the extent possible within Jet Airways. And there is one more thing that they are trying to do. They are trying to work out a subsidiary where to all the employees, they are planning to give substantive equity. So it's quite patronizing in respect of the employees as well. Now, the third question, which is perhaps the answer to the question that you asked, that will Jet refly? The next thing, the next milestone is after the COC approval, you would be aware that it will go to NCLT, and after the NCLT nod, it will go to the government also for allotment of slots. So this is a very thing, because the lifeline of aviation are the slots and the international rights. The plan of Jalan and
so clearly the slots have to be there, and that would be the condition. That would be the condition. The slots need to be there, because why would anyone want the airline just for its privilege, jet privilege service membership? I want to get Ajay in here. Ajay, what is your take on what is in the public domain right now? And Rajesh Prasad is the best person really to ask all of these questions too. What will it take for Jet to fly again? And my question is this the right time, when the airline industry has received a huge knock with coronavirus? The rest of the players in the market are just about scraping through. And we don't know when traveling is going to really revive to its full extent. What do you make of this revival plan, and how optimistic are you?
Hi, Tamanna. Good evening, and good to be back on the show. Let's answer your second question first, which is it a good time to start an airline or restart an airline, given this is COVID times and so on and so forth? I think in Indian aviation, this might just be the best time, and maybe a great shot for Jet Airways to come back. If you look around, airlines, many of the no-frills airlines are hemorrhaging money at this point of time. I'm sure you know. One is there's discussion that one might have to change shareholders because one shareholder is not up for giving money, and then there's another one losing money like crazy, so on and so forth. So basically, if Jet decides to come back in the next 6 months, 1 year, whatever time frame they can relaunch in, I think they have a level playing field, because of the fact that they have the airline might have gone, but the brand equity still stays. And as long as they can provide a good product and a service model, I would imagine there's no reason that people should not come back to them. Having shared the optimism of Mr. Prasad, I think there is a lot now that will still be needed to restart the airline. Okay, because that's the next, and the first question you asked. There's very little known in the public domain right now. Obviously, there is a lot of due process that needs to be followed before the new so-called the to-be owners of the airline can share perhaps something with the media or with the public. But there is a long way to go, and I hope some of these ducks have already been lined up. You need the slots, you need aircraft, you need
Ajay,
employees.
what I want to understand is that some of these slots, Ajay, just a minute. Let me just pose the question. What I want to understand is some of these slots, or a lot of these slots, were kept on hold for some time while everyone was hoping that a buyer would come for Jet, and then eventually they were given to other airlines so that there are no shortages in the Indian aviation space.
Yes.
Are these other airlines now going to give them back? so easily. I see that as a possible, hurdle coming up. That's probably the second one. The first one is whether the NCLT will give a nod to everything in place.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. You first need, of course, the NCLT needs to give approval, MOCA needs to give approval, and so on. I don't think there'll be a hassle doing that, given they've been the process so far. So it will fly through eventually. But the second part about slots, I think that's where the challenge lies. For instance, I don't think any airline will give them back without a fight. But again, circling back, not all airlines are flying to capacity at this point of time anyway. So, in India, we did not follow the IATA norms of giving away slots when an airline goes under or slots need to be reallocated. So there was a huge amount of subjectivity in the process. And I guess as long as our current administration is supportive of bringing Jet Airways back to the skies, perhaps the same subjectivity would be applied again to hopefully at least give them a few slots to get started again.
Tamanna, may I add to what Ajay has said? I take completely what Ajay has given his comment on, and there are a couple of things here. One thing is that most of the, on account of corona pandemics, aviation sector is struggling. So these few months which it will take to prepare itself to again refly, one hopes that the effect of corona would dilute substantially, and Indian aviation market will come back quicker than the other aviation markets. Number one. Number two, because
timeline in your mind, Mr. Prasad.
Well, as per the plan, they say that first quarter.
Give me a timeline in your mind.
Yeah, I will. As per the plan, they are saying that they are confident to fly from first quarter of next year, which I think is quite a realistic time. So they are targeting to hit the sky with a smaller fleet in domestic itself with 6 aircrafts in the first quarter. Now, if you take what is there in the plan, the assertion that they are also making to the Civil Aviation Ministry is that it is true that slots have been given to other airlines, but these have been given temporarily. And even in the NCLT hearing in the past, the ministry has said that they will consider any proposal that comes, and they will try to release slots in a calibrated manner as per the ramping up of the what the consortium plans. So to that extent, it is not possible that they will get all the slots in one shot, but definitely as they ramp up, they will. Now, if you take that the statement given by the government and the goodwill, and perhaps the recommendation of the COC, and hopefully the NCLT also will give their decision affirmatively. Now, these few months will be used to iron out these issues, and the way government also wants that Jet Airways should come.
I don't want to rain on your parade. I appreciate, no, Mr. Prasad, hear me out. I don't want to rain on your parade. I appreciate the optimism that you're bringing to the table. And I know that you're one of the very few executives, in Jet who have stuck on and seen this whole process through. But I think some very pertinent questions need to be asked today to ensure that we actually see a resolution of what has been hanging fire for the last many months. And one of them, if I may add, is the experience of the new owners. Do they know how to run an airline? Do they know how to run an airline in India? That is, I think, one question which also needs to be answered. This is a treacherous terrain. India is where, airlines unfortunately nosedive at alarming regularity. Their business nosedives at alarming regularity.
If you
so
want
would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, surely. If you want an answer to that, definitely you have a preponderance of predatory pricing in the domestic sector in Indian aviation. That is a given thing. Now, in terms of Kalrock. Kalrock is a special situation fund. So what they have had a wonderful experience is taking over and turning around assets. That is one. Mr. Jalan also has experience in the aviation. But having said that, I'm saying that at the promoter level, they are lining up and talking to a host of professionals who have extensive experience in the aviation and also in the Indian aviation. And at this point of time, you know that because most of the airlines are not doing well globally, there are a whole lot of very efficient candidates who are on the radar to be roped in to fill that gap and try to take it forward. So that way, it's a very calibrated thing that the plan has, which I can share up to this extent only. But you take it from me that experience would not be found wanting, and experience in Indian aviation will not be found wanting in Jet 2.0. I can say only that much at this point of time.
Tamanna, I want to add here, you just took words from my mouth there on the predatory pricing part.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, we know that there are airlines in India which which have the balance sheets even now to keep prices low, and Indians really love a cheap flight. So in this case, there is like a situation where you either need deep pockets to fund the airline till you have some other players exit the market, or you need to be able to price a premium. So other full service carriers are also selling at LCC prices at this point of time, $100-200 more, and that's been the design of this market for a very long time. So I'm very interested to hear myself how over a very long period of time will a full service carrier which has limited resources right now just get back there and hopefully turn the corner.
Shall I just give my take on this? Not with optimism, but absolute with realism.
Yes.
If you have a legacy liability, the load is even more. So if you say that pre-NCLT, you definitely needed even much deeper pockets for Jet 2.0 to fly. With NCLT and clean slating the entire legacies, your cost base becomes much more attractive, and you can withstand even the onslaught of predatory pricing longer. And in fact, this was the logic what prompted and evoked so much response also in the fourth round of bidding, because on one side, at the balance sheet level, acquisition price with the haircuts become attractive enough, because an investor would also want his return on investment. And from a profit and loss perspective, which will say the cost base with no legacy liabilities, it becomes that much more attractive. So the ability to withstand the competitive pressure and even predatory pricing is much better in Jet 2.0. This would be for the first step. Now the Jalan Kalrock, yeah. And only one more thing I want to add.
No, I'm saying that that's a good point that you're making.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing, I'm making it only from a strategic perspective, that how and what went into the thought process and the business plan. The other thing also is that the blend is of international and domestic in this case. So if you take a blend, you are aware that almost 60-65% of the balance sheet is foreign currency denominated. So unless you do international and emphatic international operations, you don't get that natural hedge, be it on servicing your GDS and all those other costs, aviation fuel.
So clearly, I know, Mr. Prasad, I'm running out of time, so I will end it here. But I get your point. I get your point of starting from a clean slate. There is nothing wrong in being optimistic along with being realistic. So, more power to you on that. We may as well see a turnaround, even though it's a tricky terrain up ahead. In either way, in any case, the Indian aviation space has just gotten even more exciting. So thank you for joining in and explaining your point of view today. Thank you, Ajay, as always, for being on the show.